Hey everyone, it's Benjamin here, and this video is a follow-up companion module to the State of the Industry presentation, which hopefully you have seen. If not, seek it out. It's, I think, very, very important for the modern artist and songwriter to review that in depth. So if I didn't get your attention with that video, I'm going to definitely get your attention with this video, which is called 10% equals 16,400%. And basically this presentation really dives into the exponential upon exponential effects of perfecting your song and getting it to all the way to the finish line. So I know you might be thinking, well, wait a second, if I just increase my song by 10% better, well, it's not just making the song 10% better. On surface it is, but it's the potential for that song to become so meaningful to your career and exponentiate your career is really ridiculous. And so I'm going to dive in here and let's get started here. So this presentation is going to be called the exponential value of perfecting your song. 10% equals 16,400%. So let's check this out, shall we? So as I mentioned, I also have an article on my website about this. My theory is that a 10% improvement in your song just has the potential for exponential gains. And previously, I've been using this equation here internally at my own publishing company, which is 10% equals 100x. Turns out I was mistaken on that because I dove in and did the potential math of what 10% can actually mean. So 10%, that means if you have a song that normally would get 10 million streams on, say, Spotify or Apple, you can turn that into a potential billion streaming song. And so just stay with me on this premise and keep an open mind because I do think it is very, very important, especially today. So let's keep going here. So how 10% can cut through the noise? Now, keep in mind, we have to realize that we're in this landscape of 750,000 to 1 million music releases per week. And that's without AI. In another 6 months to a year, I think that with AI and people getting their hands on these tools, I think within 2 to 3 years, we could see 2 million songs released per week, especially when you have AI creating songs and people uploading to the digital services. So you have this, what happens is you have this entire landscape of mediocrity and sub-mediocrity, and then also songs that are actually pretty good. So if this is your landscape and your song just pokes out just a little bit by 10% more, it has the potential to have a cascading effect and a catalyst for all kinds of things. So, for instance, a song that's 10% better could be the key to securing your track on a top playlist, which then can lead to other playlists or getting featured going viral on TikTok by an influencer or a music supervisor. And all these things together can create a cascading exponential effect. So sometimes I share this premise of 10% equals 100x, and the obvious question is, well, wait a second, how is that possible? So down here, I've got your 750,000 to 1 million songs being released per week. That's the whole gene pool of songs that you're competing with. Now here you have your song, which is just 10% better. Now let's say that's a 10 million. Let's say you have a really, really good song, and just on that premise alone, it would max out at 10 million streams. But if you can make a 10% better song, it can trigger this playlist. It can trigger this synchronization license. It can trigger this TikTok use. It can trigger someone to make a user-generated content lyric video of some sort or use it in their video, which then can trigger the next tier where one TikTok goes to 10 TikToks, goes to 100 TikTok videos, and clearly hundreds of thousands of those. And one sync can trigger 10 syncs. And also these things can be cross-matched. So your one playlist can go then to 10 playlists that can trigger these syncs. And what happens is you have this vortex of activity that can happen where your song then eventually goes to radio, it becomes a perennial hit, and there's your billion streams. So it's a I'm not saying that this is a guarantee at all. I'm just postulating that the importance of fine-tuning your song to the best final 10%, the final 5%, the final 1%, the fractional, picking up those fractional elements of quality. Now here's the thing. Not all streams are created equal. So while a 10% improvement might hypothetically take a song from 10 million to 1 billion streams, it doesn't directly translate to earning 100% more revenue. And this is where I want to get your attention. It's much, much more than that, because that's just streaming. We're not factoring in to the radio performance royalties. We're not factoring in the synchronization licenses. If we can work with the premise that for every million streams on Spotify or Apple, your song, from a songwriting perspective, we're only talking about songwriting, not master royalties. From a songwriting publishing perspective, if you write a song 100%, let's just work with the premise that a million streams equals $1,000. So let's take a look at this, and because I actually have some real examples here. Let's take your pretty good song, actually really good song, that earned 10 million streams, which is fantastic. This value of that from a publishing perspective, now remember, it's just streaming, is about $10,000. Now, a song that's 10% better, we postulated that this could create a billion streams. And the streaming value of that would be approximately $1 million. However, we are not factoring into, when a song is that big, we're factoring in, we need to factor in performance royalties on radio, synchronization licenses, and so many other things. So the possibility there is at another $1 million on top of that. So on one hand, you've got your $10,000. Over here, you've got your $2 million. So to put in perspective, a song earning $10,000 has the potential to jump to $2 million plus due to this 10% improvement. So let's continue on here with the presentation. Now, we're just talking about as one song here. What happens when you compound this across a catalog? So this is where things get really crazy, because we haven't yet considered the cumulative effect of adopting this mindset and approach across even a small catalog of your songs, not just one song. What happens if we were to apply this approach to even a small catalog of, say, 10 compositions? And I've mapped this out here in the next slides. So this is where things get really interesting. Let's take a look. So let's say you have your 10 pretty good songs and they each had 10 million streams. And that's not bad. That's a nice, decent success. And if you're a new to semi-professional, professional songwriter, and you did that every year, now, you can make a living on that. Keep in mind, this is a 100% song. So we're judging this on 100% song. So we're saying that each song of your 10 really pretty good songs, each of those is worth $10,000, and it generates $100,000 approximately. Now, we could have some synchronization licenses. There could be some airplay involved here, but really there are not many 10 million streaming songs, 10 million per song, that explodes with radio performance money or synchronizations. They're there, but what really happens is, like, when you start hitting into 100 million streaming songs and above, there's usually then performance royalties at radio. There's synchronization licenses and things like that. So let's take another catalog. So on the left, we've got your pretty good 10 songs. On the right, let's take another writer. Hopefully this can be you. And we're going to say that in this catalog, we have 2 songs that has generated 1 billion streams and 8 songs that has generated 100 million streams. So the value for 2 1 billion streaming songs is maybe $4 million. And actually it could be a lot more than that, depending on radio and multipliers and bonuses and radio performance bonuses and things like that. Let's say that the value for 100 million streaming songs is approximately 1.5 million. So that's a total of $5.5 million compared to your $100,000 over here in this catalog. $100,000 or 5.5 million. Now, of course, we are talking dollars and putting value to art. So, of course, the songs over here are touching way more people, are probably more meaningful songs to more people. That's not saying that the songs being written on this column don't have value and intrinsic art and things like that. I'm just saying that if we're looking at the biggest success that we can, how can we measure that? And now you can measure that through how it affects people, but you can also for the sake of this argument and for this presentation, I'm just valuing songs based on dollars. Okay, so let's continue on here. So yeah, so that is a 5,400% increase in earnings. Wow, I want that. Now here's where we're continuing to exponentiate, and creating exponential upon exponential. But we're not finished, because we have not factored in the possibility that you might want to sell your publishing catalog. So let's do a catalog analysis of the above small 10-song catalog. So we've got the catalog that has, I said 10 meh songs, but actually I'm not going to take away from the for many people, having a 10 million song streamer is great, fantastic. But we need to hit, there seems to be, in my view, there's a ceiling where there's a 1 million streaming ceiling, and then there's a 10 million streaming ceiling. And then if you can break through that, I see songs go more quickly to 100 million. So it's like, I feel it's easier to go from 11 million streams to 100 million streams than it is from, say, 100,000 streams to 500,000 streams. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I see it. So for sake of argument, let's say someone may pay you a multiple of 5x for those 10 pretty good songs. And when I say a multiple, what happens, and I'm going to explain this in this next slide on how catalog sales work. We've got our $100,000. Now, how they factor out catalog sales is they will look at your, what they call the NPS, which is the net publisher share. Now, this is assuming that you're selling 25% of your entire value of your catalog. So you would be, the net publisher share is often 25%. So you would take 25,000 times a multiple of 5x. And when I say a multiple of 5x, that means someone out there is willing to pay for 5 years of your earnings. And I say 5x, I came up with 5x because there's not a lot of meat on the bone left on these songs that are just like pretty good songs. Compared to, say, when Sting sold his catalog, I'm sure the multiple was like a 20 or 25 multiple, because people are buying into the value of hits. So it could be possible that you may not even find someone who wants to buy this catalog of pretty good songs. On the other hand, there is a plethora of people who are firms, hedge funds, other publishing companies, other investors that are looking to buy catalogs that have extended value and real value as hits. So let's take a look here. So if we were then to look at your other catalog, the one that has those 2 billion streaming songs and those 8 other 100 million streaming songs, let's just say a buyer out there is willing to pay 15x for those songs. That might be a little high, but for sake of argument, let's take a look at this. So remember, we said that the total of those songs might be worth 5.5 million. Actually, probably could be a lot more than that. The net publisher share is $1,375,000. Now we take that times a multiple of 15x, and we end up with $20,625,000. Okay, so do I have your attention now? This is a staggering difference in the previous example of 16,400%. But there's more. Before I get to where more comes from, and this is really, really important for you if right now you don't have a song on the charts, because we are all one song away, one hit away from being the new most in demand songwriter. And if we can accomplish that, there's a whole other exponential level of activity and presence and perception about you as a hit songwriter that just everyone's going to be wanting to write with you. I'll get to that slide, but first, let's just take a look at where 10% can come from. And really, this is a practice of overturning, looking under every stone and seeing what you can improve. And these are how the biggest hit makers in the world today, I think, have songs that stand the test of time and are, in some cases now, have songs on the charts for like a year plus. Part of that is because not many people can deliver that type of song today. So where can 10% come from? A bigger chorus, bigger chorus entry, the refrain, the beginning, and the punchline. Elevating, punching up lyrics line by line. What I would call sweating the mix, like really diving in and experimenting and trying to maximize. This is a practice of maximizing and maximizing. You can bring in real musicians. This is like what Quincy Jones would do. Like there'd just be a revolving door of the best session players coming in. I'll let you take a snapshot of this or pause the video and go through this. But this is just off the top of my head ideas on how another 10% can be elevated in the song. The other thing too is to get trusted feedback from your other friends, co-writers, from your publisher, from your A&R person, from your manager, and really ask for advice on how I can extract another percentage on this song. So, and this is what I call internally at my company, I call it getting on top of the gold. Now, if someone like myself, if I'm your publisher or your co-writers or your A&R person, your manager is requesting you to do more work on the song, sometimes it's like, oh, geez, we got to go back in there and rewrite it. They're on my case to rewrite the song, and it's a drag because rewriting is not fun. But there's a way, I think, to reframe this, because if someone is asking you to refine what you've done, it means they're looking out for you. They want you to win, and because when you win, they're going to win as well. So embrace this. This is a positive sign. This is something to get excited about. It's versus just going to write another song or another random co-write. So run towards the light. You might be on top of the gold. The fact is, most people settle for taking their songs to about 80 to 90% of their potential, of the song's potential. And the mindset is, well, let's just see what we can get. Or there's other excuses like, well, that person's publisher thinks it's a hit. Or this A&R person likes it, or my mom thinks it's a smash. Great. But the thing is that most people do not put in this extra work. And to quote one of my favorite authors, Seth Godin, the last 5%, the last fractional percentages of putting in that time, that's what you actually get paid for, because everyone else is busy already doing the 90%, especially today. And most writers don't even know that there's another tier to get. And that's the hardest to do. It's really easy to get something from 60% to 80%. It's really hard to get something from a 95 to a 99. So let's not have this person be you who just throws up lame excuses. Like if someone asks, or in general, as a general practice, for songs that count, I'll say that again, for songs that count, you don't need to do this for every song, But when you're on top of the gold and it's a getting the song to the finish line type of song, that's what you need to double, triple, and quadruple down on. So don't stop here, because this is what this graph looks like. And I want you to be in this upper tier area where we are just having a blast. Okay. And when you are on the charts, when you are an in-demand songwriter, those people are still not, once you're here, they're not going back here. They're staying to this premise, this getting songs to the finish line premise, because it works. So I talked about this before, but the next exponential side of this is really just compounds everything, which is priceless hit songwriter status. If you succeed in crafting a hit song today, it puts you one step ahead in the industry and way in front of all your colleagues, obviously. This amplifies your cachet within the music business. Thus, the phone starts ringing off the hook. And I'll be honest here, in my experience, for the big projects, they call 10 people and that's it. There seems to be 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 go-to people that those people are the go-tos. Those people are the only people A&Rs and managers really want to deal with, because it's easy, it's proven, it's getting on the trend. It's someone that has a proven track record of making hits, and we all want that. So having a hit today means you're suddenly in huge demand, big time. Obviously, once you top the charts with a hit, your actual and perceived value skyrockets. A&Rs, managers, and artists will all seek you out, knowing it's likely you'll replicate your success. They're not very interested in someone replicating 5 million streams or 500,000 streams. So does that make sense? I hope this is really crystallizing it. They want your hit songwriter glow touching and warming their skin and pocketbooks. I'm just being real here. Objections and solutions. I think this slide was maybe in the other presentation, but I'm saying this again, bring this up here too. So many times I hear objections and excuses. For instance, my co-writers think this great, and so do their publishers. The translation is, oh, I actually don't want to make more money with this song. I'm happy to not make waves and just get a lower value for my efforts. Or I can't get my co-writers to focus on this with their busy schedules. The translation there is, your co-writers are more focused on digging another hole than getting to the gold. And maybe they're more focused on doing that session where they know they're going to get a $5,000 production fee or $15,000 production fee or whatever, or writing in the room with an artist. So my magic solution to this situation when it comes up is the following, is leave these people behind. See you later, because they're sabotaging your potential success and theirs. So you need to find people and enroll people who are on the same path as this mission. Like, I think if you are writing with, I'm just going to use him as an example, Max Martin, who is very much known for this type of getting things to focusing relentlessly on perfecting a song. If you were one of his co-writers and they weren't on board with that program, I don't think that he would probably be writing with those people. Everyone in that circle is likely on the same mission and has the same mandate and mindset, right? So the conclusion here is, I implore you, we need the last 10% of song quality. It's up to you to shape your future and choose the path you wish to follow. Your life's work, the value you create, and your ultimate joy of life, and what you can provide to the universe and what the universe will provide to you, all comes down to the following: getting that last 10%, that last 1%, and that fractional piece of 1%. And I will say one other thing, that when you start applying this to your songwriting, you can see how you can apply this 10% mission to everything in your career, to your marketing campaigns. I realized in one of my recent marketing campaigns on our sister label, like, could we have, what happened if we put in another 10% in some of these areas? It could have changed the entire picture of that release. It can be about your relationships. It can be anything you decide that you want to 100x, put in that extra 10%, that getting things all the way to the finish line. In conclusion, that's what I have for you on this presentation. I hope it was great. I hope you learned some things, and I really hope that you apply this mindset, because the quicker you do this, in my opinion, the quicker everything is going to just take off for you. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed it.